Beautiful day today in Birmingham. Wind's a bit too high though, so no jumping today. Put this video together because there's a lot of specific things about the Pilot Canopy that I've found make a huge difference, especially to stop hard openings, in-cell closure, and a few other factors that I'm going to go through. Notice there's a lack of videos on this, so if this helps MD, great. Right, just unpack this. Need to go down. First thing I'll check. See here, when I opened it, the kill line has been pulled. This is one thing I never quite understood when I first started packing. Essentially speaking, what you're looking for is, with the kill line, when that gets pulled when the canopy opens, this pulls down here like this. It makes your pilot chute go from being wide open to deploy the parachute to being that shape. In other words, you get no drag on it. So for a canopy like this, it allows me to go faster, not get any drag. You don't get these on in student canopies, and this is one thing I was a little bit puzzled about. So the first thing we've got to do is cock the pilot chute. Right, so this is a bridle for wingsuiting. Notice it's a lot longer than a normal bridle, so I have to put it over my shoulder and then stretch it out. Pulling there, essentially, so long as that's at maximum length, these supports can't get pulled any further. You'll notice you go like that, catches the wind perfectly. Looking down here now, pilot bridle, you'll see that the colour's blue. Right, just for tidying up for inside here, right, because I've got all this loose here, what I do is, this was just a peculiarity of mine, I just pull it right the way through so that it's nice and neat. Have this all nice and flat coming through. Right, we're sorted. Okay, right, now then, in here it's a little trick I get taught. Elastic band on there. The last thing you want is anything wrapping up in this. So what I do is, once I get the elastic band on, is grab the excess, fold it down, and then bend over. A double, everything I do, I use double. And I'm going into this in a bit more detail why I do this when I actually come to pack the main rig. So that's all nice and flat. Get this in the shape. Another final check in the line. Check again, I've got blue in the window. Right, okay. Open it up. Now then, I'm doing this slightly differently to the way I do, but you'll get the point. The reason I'm doing this is it's coming into winter now, so I'm going to be jumping less often, so it gives me a chance to check my lines, etc. So that's always a good thing. Get a visual check. Check to see if there's anything in your rig. Get any stones out it. And when you jump in places like Spain and Portugal, you tend to land in some pretty rough stuff and build up a few stones and that in your rig. Right, so brake lines. See skydivers pulling down and toggles. It's these lines are pulling. Now, over time I've found with my canopy, that's all I can really speak for, with any authority, these can become twisted. When these become twisted, it makes it harder for this to come down. slider. So what I always do, you should do this on a regular basis anyways, come down, grab, make my way through it, keeping my fingers sort of take any twists out the line. Pass my fingers through it, come down, and you'll see there's twists in it. That will cause that to hang. I've found that repeatedly. So what I do is pull out my brakes, straighten it, bring it back up. Now there's no twists there. Right, now whatever you do, I tend to find it's better to have it symmetrical. Put one through here and through here, pull up, and you'll see no matter what I do, that won't come out now. Right, now then, with this particular toggle set, that goes in there, turn it over, and that goes in there, and in there nice and neat. See? Get that symmetrical with the other side now. God, half windy today. You notice though, it's one thing about landings, you see novice jumpers grabbing their parachutes, panicking. If you just allow the parachute to lie flat, even when it's a strong wind, it'll just lie there. And take your time over picking it up. It's another little tip. Right, come again, along here. Straighten out. Come down, see all the twists in it. It's because last weekend I did a lot of jumps, and just over time it just adds up. Right. Okay. All right there. That's bubbling a bit too. That's something, things like that you need to keep an eye on. If these lines go, you've ended up just able to control one side, which is not a situation you want to be in. Right, bring it down, keeping it symmetrical with the loop on the inside, in my case. As long as you keep it symmetrical, I find. And bit into the keeper, like that. The holder in place. See now, no matter how hard I pull, okay. Right, nice and neat. Just the other side, symmetrical. Main line to the brakes on the outside, rest tucked on the inside. Next, I want my parachute. I like, best thing is on heading openings, especially the amount of tracking I do when I'm opening at high speed. I want everything perfectly symmetrical. Best ways to do that, tie these. These are just, everything I'm going through today is just a combination of factors that I've found really help me get on heading openings and stop hard openings. If you've never had one, to explain a hard opening, this slider starts up here, so you can see the parachute go from 120 miles an hour to opens like that, and then as the slider slides down, that slowly opens. So in other words, if you didn't have the slider, you'd be going from 120 miles an hour to like boom, 30. end like that, it's effectively the same as being in a car crash, which is something you don't want. Right. Finish off having a visual check, all my lines. This is the nose, front end, and this is the tail. Notice it's sealed. Right. Now then, next stage, go down the lines. Right, so this is the way I grip, here and here. So I've got my lines separated so I can control them all. So as I come down, get everything nicely controlled, lift it up, just have a look left and right for the symmetry. Looking to the front, give it a shake, and see my brake lines? Not essential, but keep looking after this part, because this is where you get your end cell closure problems, where that end doesn't open up properly. Which isn't anything major, but just a frustration factor. Okay, so happy with that. I've checked my slider, it's open, and before I go any further, toggles here, what happens is when I'm actually flying, I pull these once I've opened the parachute, pull these, boom, and it goes like that. Do it on both sides, it collapses the slider, same as the pilot chute. Removes drag, allows me to go faster while I'm flying under canopy. So I made sure this is open. I like to go down these lines a couple of times actually, even when I'm normal packing it, jumping. Yeah, see now they're a lot happier. Right, stay apart. Right, so looking fine. Lines are looking good. No fray, no tear. Now the grip like this, straight through and up in my shoulders. Now I'm up in my shoulders, over and hold like that. Right. Next thing, I want my slider up in my shoulder. Now, first bit I want to sort is the nose. The nose itself, do that by turning 90 degrees so I've actually got the pilot symbol emblem there against my stomach. Right, so this is a 9 cell canopy. Grab this first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. A little trick I've got here is, a lot of people just grab it. See, if you actually put your hand round the nose lines, then you can actually carefully check everything sitting nicely and in place. And then grab it, get a firm grip of the nose, and then bring it back to where it was. The slider keeps trying to slide down, back where it was, and grip the nose between your legs, like that. See all the nose lines, happy? And flip it over. There you go. Right. So pilot's better for showing on because you can see the coloured lines: blue, orange, yellow, green. Okay. So I'm not too bothered with these lines just now because that's my brake lines. First thing I want to do is flake out my canopy. So what I'm looking for is the 4 lines to the left. Remember, I used my slider there. Tell me what was left and what was right. Oh, sorry, got it caught in my GoPro there. So if you go like that, right lines, left lines, up. Now then, what I'm looking to do is dink, 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 dink. So see there? Nice like clam it looks like in the end. So do my first one. Usually instead of doing it individually, I just go like that. And again. So it's flaking. All of this adds up to on-heading openings I've found with these rigs. Canopies, sorry. So another side. Just as one. Got to remember, you don't need to be too exact to find about this, because this is opening at 120 miles an hour. So it's going to open. It's as simple as that. It's just how smoothly it opens that's the question. So, see now, just double checking everything here because it's coming into the colder times. You don't know how often you're going to be jumping. Just check again, going through it. Yeah. Now and seeing you look down at it. It's that clam shape, dink, 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 dink. Sorted. Now just tidy these up a little bit. Now then, next major tip that I've found that makes a huge difference. Don't just sit the slider in. Carefully make sure it's in as far as it will go. Right hand side, left hand side to the rear and to the nose cone, right down in there. That ensures that when it opens, the first thing that the wind meets is the slider, trying to hold it up while the parachute's fighting it and slowly coming out to then allow this to come down slowly. I've had a couple, well, a few actually, really hard openings in my time. And watching the packer later, it was abroad that I got it. But watching the packer later, I can see it just wasn't putting effort in with the slider, and it was basically just flying straight down, like effectively it being a car crash. So that's down in tight, nice and neat. Take your time over it. Give this wind a second. Back round. Check again. That's why it's better to pack in the hanger. 1, 2, 3. Get a chance to see it again. Got my 4 there, there, there. Yeah. Yeah. Right, now before the wind catches it again, leaving my brakes, making sure that the folds are neat, but not doing anything too fancy with getting them in. It's because when the slider in these parts are what I want hitting the wind first. I'm just going to hold this a bit steadier because of the wind and reach down. Next to the label, warning safety label, you'll find your midpoint. Bring it up and have everything folded neatly. Bring it round. Tail, other side of the tail. And you've essentially got that shape. Now, a real useful tip, makes a big difference there. While it's there, I've grabbed my slide and I'll make sure it's sitting in. Now there's 2 trains of thought in the next bit. If I leave my nose like this, the slider's hitting first and they're inflating immediately. Bit faster opening, not as smooth, but more on heading, I found. Just me personally, I found. Experts might tell you differently, just my own advice. If you want a smooth or slower opening, like just starting using it, push this in. I tend to go for a halfway medium, mainly because I do primarily tracking now, so I want a combination of both because of the speed I'm going at when I open. Now they're both round. Tidy it up first by doing this, then come back up and round the nose, just putting enough to hold it in place. Hold that steady. Awkwardness doing it with your GoPro on your chin. Then come down. And 3 there. Then, once you have it like that, have a good look down. All my lines are straight. Come down to the ground. Bag from underneath. And looking at it, my hand is still holding where I've wrapped it. So I bring this line here, which is the midline, down onto there, and I'm happy. Now then, when I straighten out, something like that there, at the brake line, I'll straighten. Watch this. First, next top tip I found is knee, knee. Stops it coming away. Packing a parachute's about technique. At first when you do it, it's more about brute force as you're learning, but now, folding down neatly on the centre line, and then taking the air out. Taking my time today to demo it. Now, what I then do is go underneath and see when I'm pulling down with my hand. See there how the line's pulling tight? That's because I'm pulling evenly. Right, do the same with the other side. Another advantage of this is I've only done about 200 jumps in this canopy, so it's still relatively new and crispy, which is really good for demoing some of the issues you'll get with it. So now I've got most of the air out, as you can see. Next, go behind and make sure I'm just gripping the front and the rear. I know the width of the bag and I'm taking from the centre line out, so then just fold it in. There. Get some more of this air out. Got. And the same with the other side. Grab underneath the top, keeping your knees there to stop it coming away. Then fold that side under. Then bring it into roughly the same shape, width I mean, sorry, as the bag. It's about to go in. So, we're in, is have a lie on it just to get some more air out. Right. Now then, for people that's first learning with pilot canopies, there's a line you'll see. You can see it there. That's where I want to be making my S-fold. Now with new crisp canopies, here's the trick. grab it behind both sides, halfway between there and the end. Then put your hand there, right there, right in that line just behind it. Next phase is to simply, my knees are holding it, stopping it come down, my hand's there, pull up and flat, taking your hand out. So see, like that, then it's easier than it actually looks. See the line is there? Put my hand there, holding, my hand's holding here and there in place. See, my fingers are on both sides. Push down. Now that's one side done. And I've noticed all points, technique rather than brute force. Holding it in place. Squeeze the rest of the air out. And then if you have a bit of a slide and it comes away, see, I've slipped my fingers in to pull it all in to be nice and neat. Now that I've got it like this, with my right hand and grabbing both sides there, I then take one finger there, move back, and see I've got a good grip of that S fold. This I found is the best way of doing it with these new canopies. Then take and lift up with your hand, sit your canopy neatly and bring it in and fold it over. Then use my thumb to hold there so I can pull my hand out. Yeah. Right, so you see there, that's one half, the S going like that. I'm now going to fold this part in there. Alright, that's because my knees were on it, all my lines have stayed perfectly straight. Now grab it by the nose, right there, sorry, grab it by the tail centre line to stop that slider moving. Sit the bag up, get your point, say a bit there, fold it. You don't need to be too, the main thing is, what you're looking for is to have that slider stay in place and not move. Now, this is a bit they don't mention most of the videos. Another bit when you've got a new canopy. It's going to keep trying to escape, it wants to open. It's trying to inflate with air, you see it already coming up. Don't try brute force, again, use technique. Once they come out, first phase, grip it tightly between my legs and squeeze. I mean squeeze tight. Yeah. Now see, got it neatly in there. More squeezing, nearer the canopy, the more effective this is. Right, now this is a semi-stoleless bag demo. So here, I hear a lot of debate on this. The owner of Performance Designs, I follow what he says. If you just do this, and then some pull my lines, keep them straight, and then go through and just do this, it will hold, but notice that big gap there, which means essentially this can just fly out and you can get what's called an out of sequence opening. It can cause the bag to spin, a multitude of other things. It's like, say, Performance Designs though, they've never, when you use the correct size bands, they've never had an incidence of it not opening when you double stow. So what I do, put it through, pull it up, take it with my fingers, pull here, pull in, oh, and then round again. You can give yourself a bit longer, but I've found with these ones here, never have a problem, as long as it's got it all fully gripped. Now, see when I lift up, see you've got that gap, but that's being held tightly in place there, so that stops it just flying out. And remember, these aren't official lines, it's just all things that I found when I went from novice to intermediate to get my C license. Things jumping this rig that have all helped with how my canopy opens and how aggressively it opens and problems that you'll get. So again, nice tight lines, pull it down and round. There. Nice and neat. Don't expect the neatness at first, that will come with time. Again, squeeze some more air out, and there we go. All the time notice I'm pulling the lines that way so that everything is symmetrical. If you don't have that tied down there, your lines aren't perfectly symmetrical, it can cause this to go into a big spin and get really bad line twists. There's a lot of things, and essentially everything that I'm showing here is just little things that have helped me to get consistently on heading openings, i.e. the parachute pointing in the right direction that I want to be going every time. Again, pulling, flattening it out, come up and double stow. Alright, and please forgive the quality of this recording. I'm having to wear my helmet so that you can see what I'm seeing with my GoPro on. Right, next, semi-stowless bag. Again, pull my lines, make sure they're equal, and I literally speaking just move my bag and drop them in. Notice I'm keeping a hold of this here so that it maintains what I'm looking for down here. And what I'll do is push these in. Due to lines being on top of each other, you will get some unevenness, but if you're distributing evenly and constantly, then I found it doesn't make a difference. There we go. Tidy up over here. I'm just doing this in real slow time. Right, fall it back, just pushing in gently, get a bit of evenness. Again, pulling my lines, and you'll see, because some lines are going round the back and some on the front, you'll get a bit of unevenness that you just take out. Alright, got it all neatly packed. You can see here, I tend to leave about half a foot I've found in this rig. Everything I've got here is Aerodyne. It's Aerodyne semi-stoleless bag, Aerodyne pilot, and Aerodyne Icon A rig. These ones are magnetic. To pull them over, now that you can see all the lines are nice and straight, everything up here is straight, everything's looking good. Come back here and release my pull cord. Now then, come down this end. You notice in this rig there's no corners. That's for my tracking and for doing wingsuiting, because when you're flying along horizontally you want the bag to come off that way, as opposed to normal skydiving where you're just going straight down, where you want the bag to come up. So to that end there's no corners in this bag. Makes it a little bit harder to pack, but not a problem. Once you know how to bring this back, sit it there. Now then, with these open and that open, take my hand to separate the lines out, keep a hand on there, bring it up, and then turn gently so that I'm just sitting it down there. There. So you'll get a bit come out, but nothing major. Putting these in and neatly, bring that down the covers and then put the magnets in. One side done. Next side, hold it flat, bring it down and in. It was lovely and compact, sitting neatly, lines are sitting neatly. Now then, this is the bit I struggle with the most when you start out. Got this so lines aren't being pulled, perfect amount either side. Pull back here. So notice this is number 2 it's got there, but this is my initial anchor point. Now, what I do now is I take the bag and I turn it. Now this is for the opening, and so it's all in the correct position. So essentially speaking, that, throw it, pulls hard, pulls this out. Once it's pulled out, the kill line will collapse the pilot chute, and then we'll be rocking, hopefully. Now we want this to be facing the outside. Sometimes that can twist. So what I do is I just go like that, because I know I'm folding it like that. So if I see it like that, I know I've got it the right way. Now, when I started packing, bought my own rig, I spent ages exhausting myself trying to do this. And I got shown some ways that just epitomise technique rather than brute force. Which if you're jumping a lot in a day really does make a difference in the heat. So, coming through here, bring it up and see if you just any of them at all. Don't try wrestling with it, just put a finger on. Not so essential with this first one, but just to demonstrate it. Get the other part of your pull cord, pull it through. Okay. So a lot, brute force, no. Pull it towards you, and then down, and then squeeze a bit of air out. Dink, dink, there we go. Then take your line, that's going to fold like that, so we just bring it up here for now. Now then, with the heel of my hand, Totally stress free. Put my heel of my hand on there. Grab the ends. Pull it off as much as I can, and then because my heel of my hand's still on there, I'm not having to fight the rig. I'm simply just going like that. Okay. Put the heel of my hand on again. Remember, if you don't get it the first time, just keep pressing the air out it and then just pull. Use technique, not strength. I'm showing this in Spain when I was jumping in Madrid. What a difference it made, because it is hot there, especially in the hangars when you're packing. Yep, pull it. No real effort at all. Now, this is the hook you see me wearing around my neck, by the way, just to let people know. Just lets other skydivers know that I'm into the hobby, so if they want to come up and have a chat. People don't even know each other. Just have a chat so we can bore each other and not the rest of the people aren't interested. Right, okay. Another little trick. When you've pulled that through, it's like that. If you just yank that out, it's going to really cut in there. So what I do is I pull it under, so that when I'm pulling like this, notice it's actually pulling against the metal. Boom. So what happens now is when that deploys, yanks that out, opens up and pulls the parachute out. Again, for neatness, you want to have it smiley face, as they call it, colour in the window. The smiley face, this shape here, is just people that know a lot more than me. I've researched the best position to have it in. It's to do with the bag coming out, boom, and just the angle it can slide out better. Now, just tidy it up. Do not have this too tight. Give it a little bit of breathing room. Now I've got this bit, the last bit, the pilot chute. And this is a free fly handle. It allows me to do free fly, lots of other stuff without the pilot chute deploying prematurely. Now, this is how I fold it. Never had a problem with it. I've listened to various people, multitude of different ways of doing this. I have this part here, the largest part, towards me. Then I open it up, set it flat, and I pull this down, and I pull this down, till I've got the grab handle right there. Okay? Right, next, one fold, two fold. So you can see that's just going to boom. Don't need to be too tidy at the end of the day. Like I said, it's all coming out at 120 miles an hour. Right, then fold it back. So you can see everything's going to unwrap. Now, there's a tip I picked up here from PD. When I turn this over, my next thing is to fold this up so that it can all BOC fit in there, so I can just pull out, boom, off it goes. Now, this is the best way I've found. Wrapping like this. Now here's another top tip that I've found, is if you have it coming out the bottom and then you wrap it, and thinking this, you put this in there like that, coming out the bottom. If your bag, say for instance something happens and the bag comes out prematurely, what you're going to have is a major problem, because this is going to be inside the bag. So if I show you in, If I just push that in there like that, it's nigh on impossible to get that out. A lot of packers do it that way. Yeah, so be careful. One of many reasons I just got my own rig. Don't ever do it that way. So if we bring it back out, sit it down, again fold it, but this time have it coming out where the grab handle is. If I put that there neatly, fold it over once, and then effectively folding over twice, that at that end. But now, if I put this in, I'll just take some of these twists out. Yep. Now, if the bag deploys first, it's going to boom, and it's just going to pull the pilot chute out, no problem at all. That is why you should always have it coming out this end. I mean, all these are just tips that I've found that I don't see mentioned much on the internet. But after some of the accidents I've had skydiving and injuries, just all these things really make a huge difference. Pack nicely. See a little bit of gap there. Don't have it too tight. Boom. There. Give it a little punch around. Flatten it out. That side the free handle goes in there. That one goes in there. Perfectly streamlined. Now for free fly. Have a check. For people that are curious, just to let you know while I'm checking the rig, what happens when you cut away? You see a lot of people mention some nonsense about cutting away, getting knives out and everything else. Cutting away, literally grabbing this handle here and pulling it, which pulls these two here. Now what happens is this line here, see, it's going through here. Now all that happens is when you pull this, goes straight up there, it comes through and it releases that. Now see, because of the ring system, this ring here is taking the full stress of the canopy. All this does, this ring here, is stop this one flipping up. So there's no actual pressure on that ring there. So you can just feed the string through there, and as long as that's stopped from flicking up, that canopy won't release. I love it, it's just an amazing bit of engineering. This here is attached through to my reserve line, so that when I deploy my canopy, it's going to pull this pin here out. This is to my reserve. Now, notice I've got an additional line here. I'll get two lines. That's because I've got an additional skyhook system fitted, which is a safety measure. So this device here, just show it here how it works. Once, twice, 3 times, battery okay, cutter okay. Boom. In case you want to go into setup configuration, enjoy. Means it's all passed all its tests, set to pro setting, so I can be going a bit faster and a bit lower before it fires. What happens is if you're going over a certain speed coming down, that will activate. There's a cutter in there that will cut the line. It's effectively keeping this in place. Your reserve will fire out. I'll just switch this off. Once, twice, 3 times. Right, so when that fires at a certain height, if I've gone unconscious, it'll automatically deploy my reserve. These reserves are, I'm not allowed to pack a reserve. Experts, people have packed thousands of times, that'll get a specific license to do that. Makes it ultra safe. That fires off and that goes off. But also, if I'm not unconscious and I pull this line here, pulls it out, releases, and this line here pulls out the pin in here because it's attached. Beautiful. My system of the sky hook, how that works though, is there's an additional hook on the bridle for the reserve. This main, if it's out already, acts as the actual pilot chute for the reserve. Beautiful bit of engineering again. It just gives you a few hundred more feet to play with if you're really close to the ground, and it has saved a few lives using this system. So you don't have to, it's basically a competition between your main and the pilot chute here as to which yanks out your reserve chute first. It's that little bit of comfort that you have. And that is it. What's involved in packing a pilot chute? If I had to say anything with injuries I've had over the years, not packing, as I showed you that slider properly, that's the number one, because packed properly it just comes down so smoothly in one of these. That primarily, and also keeping your lines equal. When I do that and I just take 5 minutes longer to do it, I always get a smooth openings with these. The problem is with these canopies though, if you don't get it right, the strength of them in the wind does give you a bit of a ripping. So if anybody's got any questions about anything else on this, any of the safety systems I've got built in, all that, just post it in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as I can, okay? Right, from sunny Birmingham, say bye. Blue skies, everybody.